Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. How is everybody doing? So you guys talking about naps. Yes, it's crazy. I don't know why I didn't think, well, I wondered, but it just seemed ridiculous. I have the last couple days culminating in probably, well, the last like 5 days, I have just been taking naps. It's insane. So, yeah, I took like 3, 4 naps like 3 days ago, and then yesterday I only took one, and then I took like 3, 4 naps. That's ridiculous. I can't get hardly anything done. And it's the other weird thing is like at night though, I'll sleep like 2 hours and wake up, and I feel like I slept 8 hours. I feel like a million years have passed. And then I get up and it's only been 2 hours, and then I'm shocked. And that's been a thing for a couple weeks now, that I can't tell how long I slept, but it started out like 4 hours, and then I thought it was 8 hours, but now it's like 2 hours and I thought it was 8 hours. And I don't want to go back to sleep though, but then I wake up and like 2 hours later I'm tired again, and then there's another nap, and then I sleep for another 2 hours, and it's like, it's craziness. And it's very inefficient because I feel like I spend all day either falling asleep, sleeping, or waking up, and then there's like this brief window of alertness. And yeah, that's getting old really fast. So I so it's not just me. I just can't believe that other people are taking 4 naps a day, because I used to take 0 naps a day. And otherwise, I actually feel reasonably healthy. Like, I went for a walk. I felt, during the alert times, I actually feel a little more spry than normal. So I don't know what's going on. I thought maybe it was a diet change or something. So, yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm sleeping good for the 2 hours. Like, it feels good. And that's why when I wake up, I feel like it was 8 hours. Well, I don't think that's the only reason, but I used to have like a time perception of approximately how long I've slept. When I wake up, I kind of know, at least I know if it's 2 or 8 hours, I know which one. I used to. But that has been degrading for a while, and now, like the last 2 weeks, it's gone. I have no freaking idea how long I slept for. Maybe I have to recalibrate it or something. 3 naps. So Vivian took 3 naps. Jackie's took tons of naps. It's craziness. I'm just reading everybody else. So, I don't know, I've always had a lot of REM sleep, so I'll just close my eyes, especially in the last 10 years. I'll close my eyes and I'll have a dream like immediately. Like, I've only been asleep for 60 seconds. And when those sleep attacks hit, I can fall asleep like that, and then I'll go straight to REM, which is not supposed to be how it works, but it does. So the thing though is, I'm like kind of calculating it out, and I don't think I'm actually sleeping more than 8-ish hours, max 10, but maybe, I think 2 days ago I did sleep more than 8 hours, but it's all these little snippets of 2 hours. So I don't know. There's something awry. It's getting hard to get anything done. I hope this is like, doesn't keep lasting like this. Yes, when I'm snapping, I fall straight to sleep. At night, I lay there tossing and turning. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had that, but I have like a strategy for falling asleep that I use. But yeah, so when the sleep attacks hit, I mean, I'm not taking a nap unless a sleep attack like hits, and I just feel like, I gotta take a nap. So when those hit, yes, I can fall asleep instantly, just like instantly. Just woke up from a micro nap. What is going on? Like, how can I? How can I get anything done? I don't know. All right, so Jackie brought something up right away. I got a lot of Jackie ones today. This is the thumbnail from last week, and she noticed that it looks different than I remember. And this is, so I looked at the video, and indeed the thumbnail looked like this, and then I dug up my original that I downloaded from the internet, and I cropped it to this shape, and this is the one I used for the thumbnail. So on the off chance that YouTube did anything to it, which, you know, is not the most likely answer knowing how this thing works, but indeed my original as well as the one online have changed. Now, if my original changed because my computer's weird, the thumbnail one wouldn't have changed. If YouTube did something weird to the thumbnail one, then my original one wouldn't have changed. But they're both changed. So it's this green, like greenish hint of, I don't know, is it supposed to be the ground reflecting off the fish, which this is supposed to be a fish, not a brain, for those that weren't here last week. Or is the fish turning greenish? Yeah, I don't know, but something has definitely changed in the lighting, the fish, the wetness, something that makes this very much green reflection here. You can see some in the eyes. So this one will be keeping an eye on, because it's probably going to keep shifting since it's pretty new on the scene. So there you go. I try to resist the sleepiness, going for walks, driving anywhere, playing drums. Yeah, does it work? Because I kind of like, it kind of abates if I'm walking and stuff. But like the minute I sit down, it's like, caught up with me. So yeah, Jackie noticed the green wasn't here, so I was like, yup. Vivian remembers. It's a lumpsucker fish, but it did not have green on it last week. Yeah, so I was like kind of sleepy, and I went for a walk because I kind of hadn't done my walk exercises for a while, so I'm getting back to it. I don't know, it just like, I don't know, I could kind of feel it lingering back there, that it's waiting for a chance. The sleepiness is waiting for a chance to pounce. Crystal meth works great if you don't want to sleep. Don't tempt me. I swear. I mean, like, it'd be very convenient just to be able to stay awake for like 8 hours. So I have my like milder non-addictive stimulants, which is ephedrine, but I don't want to go that far. The downside is too large. I mean, not everybody gets addicted, but I just feel like, you know, I probably would like stimulants, so the risk is too great. I don't want to play Russian roulette. The Pohon Inn in Indonesia is new for me. The Pohon Inn. It's interesting because I actually did, like, the new guy who's working here, I guess his ex-girlfriend, she would just, every time she wanted to lose weight, she would take meth and then lose weight and then go back off it. But then she'd gain the weight back, right? So she'd just go back on meth again. And eventually she got cancer, and the doctor said that the meth is really hard on mitochondria and that it might cause cancer that way. Now, I don't know if there's really any research to show that, but it does appear that when you are on really hard stimulants and you lose weight really fast, it's really hard on the mitochondria because it forces them to operate at a very high rate, and it's difficult, like whenever your mitochondria, it's like the engine of your cells, operates, it creates a lot of like free radicals and oxidation and stuff. And the body has to clear that out. And if it doesn't clear it out fast enough, then it becomes more and more toxic. So that may have actually contributed to her cancer. It's quite possible, from what I know anyway. Pohon Hotel. Okay, let's just look at images here. What? So what does it look like? A burnt out husk? Is that the point of it? It's supposed to look melted? I'm confused. What is this? What am I looking at? Okay, how about English? Photon in the okay, it's all in some other language. Okay, wait, where's the English? That's crazy town. What is that? Is it new? Is it old? Wait, hotel. No, Pohon Hotel. How can it be so bizarre looking and there be no explanation for why? Is it old or is it new? I don't even know. Visit. It's not going to be in English. Okay, I'm kind of assuming that this is some kind of like newer thing to just be bizarre. Because it's sort of right in the middle of everything with like a parking lot and yeah, okay. So maybe it's like Legoland or something. How come there's no decent images of it? Here we go. Meant to look like, I don't know what, Scary Monster Hotel? Huh. Okay. Well, I don't know. Is it new or is it old new or is it old? I can't even find any English on it, so wait, that's not what I'm looking for. When you want to sleep, pot works great. I know how to get to sleep without it. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of pot for myself because I think I'm usually trying to wake up more, and I've never, like, that just makes me sleepy and I feel stupid, which I don't like, and I'm trying to not feel stupid. So how new is it? I mean, maybe they just built that thing. I mean, maybe you can look in the languages and see what, like, it's, when was it even built? It was built to look like a giant tree stump. I don't know if it succeeded in that. It kind of looks more like it was like carved out of rock or something. The bottom looks like giant mouths or dirt holes or something. Okay, over in the corner here, that looks like a tree branch, but they definitely achieved a look in a very interesting one. I don't know if when I look at it, I think tree branch. I think it's cool for like a Legoland theme park kind of thing, though. It's kind of creepy, though. I don't know. Like, if you were bringing your kids and let's go, like, stay in there, it looks like there's like gremlins living in there or something. Did you just get in here, Colorado Skywatchers? We were just talking about how incredibly sleepy we've all been and taking like 3-4 naps a day, which is insane. I think I did take like 4 naps today, which is ridiculous because one nap seems like a lot. And I do a little work and then I go take a nap and then I do a little work and it's insane. The back rooms. Yeah, it's not back rooms creepy. It's more like dungeon creepy to me. Back rooms is a different creepy. Backrooms is kind of I don't know, what is it even, like a show? It's like a TV show concept type thing, except for it's on YouTube and it's just like kind of weird. Lots weird. I'm feeling electrified. So one thing I do feel is when I'm waking up from the sleep, I'll feel like a pulsing, and then I've also been getting like hot and cold flashes. So I don't know, but I don't feel sick at all or anything other than the sleepiness. I mean, I have no problem if people need weed. I mean, I know people who take weed because they don't want to take like big pharma medications and they have anxiety issues and stuff. And, you know, a lot of these people are like retired anyway, so it's not like it's going to mess up with their work or anything. I mean, ideally, we'll all learn how to just be healthy without any extra stuff. But I mean, I can't talk because I have not achieved that completely myself. The elves are making us sleepy. I don't know what's going on. It's just, and I don't feel like exactly sick, though. I just feel it's like this huge sleepiness. Like, I gotta sleep right now. It's the only thing I want to do is sleep right now. Like, because sometimes I'm tired. I'm like, I'm kind of tired, but I have other things I want to do. It's really pretty easy to override it a lot of time. But this one is like, no, that is the only thing that sounds good in the entire universe is taking a nap. Now, I can kind of override it, but man, it just takes a lot of brain power because that's all I really want to do is take a nap. Okay, so what's going on? We do have some interesting ones. Actually, I think this one I found on my own, right? It was so weird. Yeah, this one I found on my own. Okay, there's been a lot of weird space stuff, but Neil Armstrong was still the first man on the moon, at least officially. And remember his first steps on the moon. And what was his first photo of the moon? Does anybody remember? Like, I don't know if I knew that, but I'm pretty sure that was not what they're saying now, because I think that if what they're saying now existed, I would have heard about it before now. The first image of Neil Armstrong shot out of his whatever that ship was called. I don't even remember now. Does anybody remember what the first photo of it wasn't the famous footsteps one, because that would be my guess that like maybe he jumped out and then took a picture of his footsteps, or maybe just like a pan view or something of because I have seen some pan views of just from the stair up there or something, but that was not it either. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if I really feel broken. Like, I don't feel sick. I just feel like, man, the sleep would be so good. How is anybody getting any work done? I guess if I have to walk around enough, then it staves it off. But it must really suck if you have 8 hours of work you're supposed to be doing. I mean, I don't know, maybe not everybody's getting it, and maybe there's some normal people who like can just stay awake for 8 whole hours like the old days. Stanley Kubrick setting up the cameras. Okay, the first official, according to the authorities, photo, okay, is... Let's see, let me find it. It's this one. Now, it's actually a little bit bigger than this, so this is like a snip, but the first photograph taken on the moon is that Neil Armstrong threw a garbage bag out of the ship, and it threw it on the ground. Like really, you would throw out you haven't even gone on the moon yet, but you pitch your garbage out like So like when I pull up in my truck to a campsite, the first thing I don't do is grab my garbage bag and pitch it out onto the desert. I don't know. Maybe if I was on the moon, I would, to make sure no moon monsters jumped up or something. But I just feel like the symbolic nature of this, and that we never heard of it. I never heard of it. Okay, so here it is. I think I said before that this thing really, I think I saw this last time I looked, but man, I don't remember that on the older ones. Okay, so yeah, he pitched out this garbage bag. And there it is there. And I'm not sure what's with this garbage, but basically we're littering all over the moon. I didn't see a mention of what this crap is, because the garbage is supposed to be all in this bag, according to what I read. And there it is. There's that stupid garbage bag again. So the first picture was he pitched out his garbage bag and then took a photo of it. It might have been a test picture of sort. In any case, the mission commander quickly realized his artistic mishap and kicked the bag out of view under the lunar module. Except for you could totally see it in a whole bunch of the photos now. See, you could see it there. One of the ones I was reading, and it's like, oh, it didn't magically just disappear. He kicked it under the LEM. Which is what they're calling, I guess, the ship. I don't know. So, see, it's here. So, there's a garbage bag on the ground now. And possibly whatever this garbage was, like, why wasn't this, like, in there? Did it fall out? What's going on? So, yes, we're slobs, apparently, now. Slobs on the moon. So, that's the thumbnail image for this week. It just was something different than the same old, same old. It did, well, yeah, they're right. That is a good point. It did have poop in it. So I guess maybe you would want to throw it out now that you mention it. Still, it's the moon. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like I would, like, if it was some kind of super special environment, I wouldn't be so eager. But the main point is, I really, far beyond that, I really feel like I would have totally known about this. There would have been finger wagging from the environmentalists. Look at the slobs, blah blah. Yeah. What? It's supposed to be the size of an 8-year-old boy too. Like, it was a big bag. It wasn't some little thing. They made it with AI last week. No, it's not. It's not. It's not a joke. Shouldn't that stuff been floating? If he kicked it, it would have gone fly. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I don't know what's going on. You remind me of someone I used to work with long ago. Did you ever work at a radio station in San Diego? Nope. Not this version of me anyways. You wouldn't be the first person to say I reminded you of, like they were sure they knew me, and then they'll say some state I've never even been to. At least working in San Diego makes plausible sense, but nope, wasn't me. All of these are weird, but I think I saw this last time. And they used to be all in black and white way back. So now you can see like color creeping slowly. And first it was all that bright, garish tinfoil, whatever the heck. Now you can see like and then it was the flag, but you're starting to see like look, it's kind of brownish on the helmet there. The color is like sneaking in. Okay, this one was found by Jackie. So I guess they're saying that humans are undergoing microevolution. Now, first they were talking about like the bumps in the back of the head. It must be from like tipping our head to look at the cell phone. It still seems a little weird to me because I think when people like in our ancestors walked and stuff, we probably looked at the ground a lot. We probably had our head down, working a lot. Like when you walk in the jungle, you watch those jungle dwellers like that really grew up there in the jungle. Is they're constantly looking at the ground because there's so many poisonous snakes. They're always like this because if you get bit, you die, and they're everywhere. Like there's snakes everywhere. So it's like a bad dream almost in the jungle sometimes. So you see them always just constantly scanning. So I don't know. To me, the storyline that cell phones made the back of our head get bumpy is unlikely at best. But that was that storyline. Now I do remember since I was a kid, they were saying the jaw bones are getting weaker, and smaller over many generations because it's not needed for like grinding hard foods anymore. And that it's causing tooth crowding. Okay, that was the thing. Now, I kind of thought it was weird, actually, because if jawbones, now that I really think about it, if jawbones are getting smaller and causing tooth crowding, why wouldn't they just, like, how would that be a beneficial thing? Wouldn't there be a pushback where increased tooth problems would screen out some of those people from the gene pool, right? So the teeth crowding itself would become a problem, even if you didn't really need it for chewing. So now there's a solution. The solution now is people are being born with less teeth. And I've mentioned this before because I've said, look, I don't remember anybody not having 4 wisdom teeth. Everybody had 4 wisdom teeth. You'd be really, really weird if you didn't grow 4 wisdom teeth. Now you may have them removed, but you grew them. Okay, but now they're saying like people grow, like might have 4, might just have 2. So now this is discussed in here where they're like, oh, well, that's, we're just growing less teeth. Well, how does that work? Like, did everybody with 4 teeth like die? I mean, they're not saying that though. They're saying that this has happened just in a few generations, which I don't feel like there's enough time in like a few generations for there to be large amounts of Darwinian evolution, according to that theory. And they're not even trying to explain like how this works. So it's like the opposite of Darwin. It just like what your body just went, okay, grow less teeth. I mean, like we've seen enough to know that totally can happen, but it doesn't fit the official narrative at all, and they're just totally ignoring that. So now there's extra things. Okay, while the loss of wisdom teeth is one of the most striking examples of microevolution, scientists have identified other fascinating changes in the human body, including additional bones in arms and legs. Okay, I have covered these accessory bones, like sesamoid bones, you might remember them. And the thing is, though, there's a lot more of them. So it seems like most of the story when I was checking on it last time was basically that additional stresses on the joints cause a calcified formation in certain areas where there's a lot of stress, and then that is like a bone. Okay, but it's like these little, just like little pebble bones and stuff, right? But it seems like it's kind of just being full-size bones in some cases. Wait, here we go. All right. Darn. Oh, it was on this. Yeah, I remember now. So I think what I have to do is look up. I think I've lost one of my saved pages, but I'm pretty sure I remember where it was. Accessory. Bones. Wiki. There. Here it is. Here it is. Okay, so the fibula, which is opposite your patella, was one of them, if you'll recall. I did mention that one last time. But there's like so many now. So basically they're saying some people have them and some people don't, and they've got all these percentages. The percentages have gotten a lot better because it used to be like, well, between 10 and 50% of people have this bone. Like, you don't know. Like autopsies and stuff and x-rays have not been able to narrow it down to. But now they're like, oh, okay, 1.5 2.4% has it, blah blah. So suddenly we have information. The other thing is there's just a ton of these now. Okay, this is just in the wrist. So this pink one is 1 to 2% has these bones. There's a bone here, here, here. This one is huge. They've got names for all of them. Triangulare. Then these light blue ones, turquoise ones, are a little bit less common, up to 1%. But they're big. And then these purple ones are even, or is it blue? I think it's purple. Bluish purple. Are even less common, but they're big. I mean, like, there's so many of them. All of these ones are just, they all have really fancy names now. All right, here's all the ones that can be in the, that was the wrist before, but now we have all the ones that could be here. Now, this is kind of interesting because most of these new ones are pretty rare, and I think these purple ones are the new ones. I don't remember 2 being here. So these ones are 40 to 60%. So almost everybody has these orange ones. I did not recall any of the sesamoids being 99 to 100%, but now there's 2 of them. So these are just like little, these ones here, like little bean balls or something, like little pill balls of bone. So crazy. I don't know. All right, there's fibula. So these are some knee ones, and I don't remember any large knee ones. Trigonum. Let me just look that one up. Trigonum. I don't remember any huge ones like this. Bone. Trigonum syndrome is an accessory extra bone that sits in the back of the ankle near the heel. This occurs in 2.5 to 14% of normal feet. It is usually round, over, triangle, and varies in size. During growth, it may actually eventually fuse with the ankle bone. So before, they would say that if there was a lot of stress on the back of your feet might grow extra bone on the back. There wasn't like a separate bone that grew and then fused with the bone. That's like a whole different storyline. It is frequently caused by repeated plantar flexion, in which the toes are pointed downward. This action has a nutcracker effect on the small os trigonum, compressing it between the ankles and heels. The ankle and heels of the bone, the fibrous tissue connecting the os may be torn or stretched, causing inflammation and pain. Os trigonum syndrome commonly occurs in athletes who perform repetitive plantar flexion, pointing the toes downward. This movement repeatedly occurs in activities such as soccer, basketball, and dance. One of the reasons I'm interested in this is because I probably have this. And they used to just say it was like stress on the back of the tendon, pain at the back of the ankle with walking or pointing the toes, ankle swelling. Back of the ankle tender to the moderate touch. That is actually the one that I have, the main one. There's no swelling. Sometimes it's kind of achy when I walk, but only in the morning. Rest, ice, non-stick. So you can't do anything. There's a freaking bone there. None of that stuff's going to fix it. I don't know. Anyway, I guess there's a whole giant bone there. And there might be one there, and there might be one there. Who the heck knows? Wait, so we were here. We were here. So the next one. All right, these are the feet. So I think these little pill-shaped ones are called sesamoids. But it seems like there's a lot more words now. Okay, so what? 100% of people have that one and that one? I don't remember that. These things have definitely upgraded quite a bit. With their fancy names and exact percentages. And navicular, subranavicular, calcaneus secundarius. I'm telling you, I'm not smart enough for the timeline anymore. Okay, here's some more from the side. I think that's the same one, but it shows it from the side. There's some actual images of them. So yeah, they're big chunky bones. Like that would be, you know, like at least kind of guesstimating, but so you could have that one, you could have that one, you could have none. That's the one I might have, something like that. You know, because it's interesting, because just a couple weeks ago, I was actually kind of feeling the back of my heel, and I'm like, it really feels like there's like a big bump, actual bone back there now, instead of just like being sore. It's because it's not sore all the time. I haven't been playing a lot of pickleball, and pickleball really exacerbates it. So yeah, I was just thinking something's strange. And then here you go. Images of the strange. Okay, there's a whole, all of them labeled again. Back of the neck. This one's crazy. So apparently people have these accessory bones in the back of the neck. And these, all of these could be, apparently, they can all be without symptoms and without having any problem. There's an extra one on the hip bone. I assume this is where the leg bone attaches into the hip, or is that the shoulder? I'm not actually sure. Maybe that's the shoulder. Okay, that's the fibula that showed up like 8 years ago or something. For me, anyways. Wrist. I think, are we back around? I think we did. We circled back around. Doink. So those are all those images. Let me see what those... show. Okay, that was shoulder. That one was. And os. What is this os thing? Is that like os? Is it like ossify? Os? I've not seen this word before. It used to be that it was sesamoids. Now it's ossification areas. Forms when any of its four ossification centers fails to fuse. These four ossification centers are called blah, blah, blah. The first three fuse at 15 to 18 years, where the base part fuses at the scapular spine at 12 years. Such failure to fuse occurs in 1 to 15% of cases. It rarely causes pain. Okay, so that's os acromial. Okay, so I guess this is just like a separate piece and didn't fuse with those. The Oppenheimer ossicle is in 4%. How come I don't have an image of it? Now I want to see what the Oppenheimer ossicle looks like. Looks like some kind of spine thing. Maybe here? Some creepy crap in the spine. Generally smaller than 1 centimeter. That's still like pretty big. Centimeter from here to here. So yeah. What part is it? Is it? It's that maybe? No. I don't even know what part it is. It's not useful. Is it that? I don't know. It's so new that we don't get to see an image of it, maybe? A tricky, rare variant. A well corticated bony fragment. Nobody can understand that. Maybe when it's coming in, it just blinds you with flim flam. Okay, anyway, I give up. I don't know what it is. Something in the spine, apparently. Okay, so yeah, we got a lot of bones now. Okay, so that's the accessory bones. These structures. So the story then is that we're getting more of them, I guess. Microevolution, additional bones. So now what they're saying, they weren't there before and now they're there more. And this one, I think I covered this one sort of, but an increasing number of people are born with a median artery in their forearms, which typically disappears after birth. This artery provides an extra blood supply to the hand and arm and may offer evolutionary advantages by improving blood flow or compensating other vascular deficiencies. Okay, well then, if it offers an advantage, why does it disappear to start with? Why would we have it as a fetus and then lose it? See, like, that doesn't make sense to me. So looking up what this median artery is, so basically they're saying there's an artery up the middle instead of just two down the sides. Now, this is pretty interesting because up the middle is where we remember you used to take the pulse. And I think that was just the main artery back then, is up the middle. And then at some point they said, oh no, the pulse is like way over here, which I think is this artery here. And that's how you get the pulse, and it's not in the middle. But now the middle is making a return visit. Perhaps you could, I don't know, get the pulse using this third artery, although it isn't, kind of gets the impression that it is not a really beefy artery. But it's interesting to me that it's back here where it once was. And then it splits out through there, apparently. So this is medial artery. Median artery. It went through there. Okay, so there's the original. And then it, like, withdraws as you age. Normally. I don't, can you even see it? I mean, I definitely see, is that it? I see a blue vein though. That's not an artery. I don't know. One thing they were saying is you can kind of push on the other ones and block them. And then if there's still a pulse sound coming, then you have the median artery. I'm kind of curious if I have it. I'm going to have to look and see if I can figure out a way to know that. I think it might be this one here then. This one here then comes over. This is the median artery. Does it benefit climbers? Wouldn't really make sense for us to be growing that. Maybe with all the cell phone use or something, they could use an argument with that. But you know, kids at birth are not on the phone and stuff yet. At like 1 year old, they're not all... So it doesn't really make sense just from a Darwin perspective. I don't see, even if this is useful for climbing, I would say climbers are more likely to die than regular people. And I don't think that the benefits of this is really going to get you like more girlfriends and have more offspring. I mean, like, say you're like a really good gamer because you have another artery, you know. I mean, like, being a really good at gaming probably does not get you a lot of extra girlfriends. Plus, we really just have not had very many generations go by. So I just don't get why that would be, like, selected for. So it just doesn't fit Darwin at all. An exclamation that makes no sense to fool people when they make magical changes because people can't explain logically. I guess. I feel like that was an extra weak try, though. But maybe there just isn't a good explanation going by our previous narrative. So I recently found my original Star Wars soundtrack that had pages of pictures from the movie. I assume you mean C3POs. Hopefully it hasn't changed. Leg was gold. Interesting. So be careful, though, because sometimes the lighting is really weird, and then it turns out that it's kind of just reflecting off the other leg, and I think that's part of the reality scam to make it less obvious. I had both wisdom teeth removed and top are still bony, impacted. I have the x-ray to prove it. Do you, though? I have definitely heard people say they went back to look for their proof and it was gone or altered. It's just, yeah, I guess it's a floater, but last time I looked it up, there was some kind of yammer where it might help, it would help strengthen the muscle, like as a crux point or something. I don't know, it was kind of vague, but I don't know if that narrative is still there, but that was what was there before. So I covered these like sesamoid bones like years ago, but I haven't really talked about them that much, but there's definitely a lot more of them, and they're bigger. They're way bigger, some of them. What about the sugar plum fairy effects? I don't know what those are. Maybe that's why I get painful muscle spasms in the back of my head on the left side. Huh, interesting. Mine, I sometimes get this cramp, like this ache on my right neck. I'm not sure if it's just like a weird napping thing I'm doing or if it's some Mandela thing. I don't know. It's weird, though, because it'll be like ouchy for a couple hours and then it's like gone. It's not the same as a pulled muscle, because if you flex or move the muscle at all, it doesn't hurt any extra. So, like if you pull a muscle and then you go to lift something heavy, your muscle's like, no, but it doesn't do that at all. Pinky fingers low on the hand. Yeah. So it used to be kind of straight across here, right? And the fingers came out, and now they're like curving back this way. And then this thumb used to be more up here, and then it's coming back down. It's almost like it, and it was shorter, so it was sort of more like, how could I make it look right? More like this out here, and now it's down there and longer. So there years ago, some people were saying they could palm a basketball, whereas they didn't used to be able to. Like the change with the thumb lower and longer gave more palming power. Now my hand's way too small to palm a basketball no matter what. But if you were just on the edge of being able to palm a basketball, and with these alterations, now you can do it. So the other thing is, I was just looking in the mirror, and I've been kind of covering this before, that you can see with the younger generation, their eyes, not all of them, of course, but there's just a lot of younger influencers and stuff whose eyes are just, I would say, weirdly far apart. It's a weird look to me, and it looks a little alien and a little strange. And so, okay, well, is it hormones or what? Like hormones in the food and garbage and chemicals. I mean, it would be easy to like write it off to that. But then the last like 2 weeks or something, I've really noticed that I think my eyes have actually separated more. And there's a thing I used to do just because I was curious about stuff, but I would just see, like I would just face forward and I would see when I could first see my finger, like how far does my side vision go back. And it used to be more like here, but now it's back here. So I feel like I can see more around the side of my head now, and I think my eyes have split across. It just, they look weird. I'm like, what's wrong with my eyes? There's something off with them. And there's just no like meat on the side of my head now. The eyes just are almost wrapping around them. I don't know, like maybe there was a big face shift because I've just been looking in the mirror a lot the last week and going, I look weird. And like my mouth, somehow it looks kind of small and weird, or maybe my head got like longer. I'm not sure what's up. I do feel like these cheek muscles are always like buffing out. So I don't think I'm turning into an elf unless these cheek muscles go away. And they're not. They're like cranking it. Beefier should mean like bigger in my terminology. It usually implies some kind of strength. If somebody's just fat, sometimes people use beefy just to be a little more polite, but it usually implies some kind of muscle involved. I think my thoughts is diet more carnivore, more squarish face. Definitely. I've actually like started eating more carnivore lately, and it just seems to really help. Up until this sleepy thing, I was kind of wondering if that was caused by the carnivore. But it's not like the first time I ate carnivore, and I usually feel better on it. And overall I do, except for that thing popped up lately. And so I don't know what's, is it, I mean, I still take all my, it's not hardcore carnivore because I still take all my vitamins. But the thing is, the more I eat carnivore, the more I don't even want any other foods either. Like they just, so if I ate noodles all the time, I'd be like so sick of noodles. But if I eat meat all the time, I just start liking meat more and everything else less. Where I'm from, we had small modern jaws. I have no doubt that is changing with the jaws because I'm seeing it in the skulls too. And also the coyotes with the skulls. So I've sold coyote skulls for many years, and I do projects with the teeth. So I buy both skulls with teeth in, and I buy separate teeth for resale. And the teeth that used to be the molars that were flat, they used to have like 3 of them along each side. And now there's really only one full flat molar and then one that's like half flat and half peaked. And so when I glue the lower mandible of the jaw onto the upper part of the skull when I'm selling the skulls, I used to have all this area to put the glue because I would glue it all along all the flat teeth and then stick it together. But there's no place left to glue. I mean, the glue job is not as good anymore because there's only 2 teeth now that really can take much glue. So it's just stuff like that that really makes me notice the changes because I go to do my project and now it doesn't work the same because the anatomy has changed. Yeah, my face is definitely more, I would say it's just, the female face has gotten more manly and the male face has gotten, not all of them, but a lot of men look less manly than I would say. The divergence is just different. So it's now harder to tell like male and female apart. It's pretty common not to know. And that's not just like trans people and stuff, just ordinary people. So I think it's really fueled this whole thing where like, oh, that superstar was like killed and replaced or died and replaced by a doppelganger, because people are noticing that they look a little off. I think it's mostly Mandela, but it's fueling this conspiracy theory. It's easier for them to imagine that they were replaced by a copy, because it's theoretically possible to do that, than to think they magically had their face change, right? Thumbs looking broken. I'm definitely seeing a lot of really divergent styles of hands and stuff, like really long fingers, and they're really hypermobile, and hypermobility is like really common almost in the current timeline. That used to be a rarity that people had hypermobility, and even when they did, they looked normal from the outside, and only if they decided to crank their joints in a weird position, then you would say, oh, that's strange. But just them bopping around, picking up food from the grocery store, they did not look that strange. You didn't see the hypermobility already in there. So for me, that one of the huge things about the joints is that they used to just be kind of a simple bone comes to bone, and then there's a big swath of cartilage. But now there are all these special endings, and blah, 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 and it's super complicated now. The huge foreheads and the far apart eyes. Yeah, it's not really my favorite. I can do with the high cheekbones, but blue head, balloon heads with no cheeks. Yeah, I know. This part. So I had the cheekbones and it was looking good for a while, but now it seems like the side of my head is gone. Yeah, I think I definitely would have just blamed it on like hormones in the food, but you're right. You go back now and it's always been that way. 100 years ago, images. All right, so there was that new artery. I think, oh, there's not just new bones, but like there's some kind of weird thing where they're saying there's weird bone connections in the feet. And one of them, I was trying to look them up, and one of them was this tarsal coalition. Develop an abnormal connection between the bones in the midsection. So there's just like one bone all the way across. Begins to limit foot movement, causing pain. Now, what we see with a lot of these changes is when they first come in, they'll say this is like a defect that causes problems. But then once they're around for a while, they'll say, oh, well, a lot of them are asymptomatic and it's not a problem except for once in a while. So I now when I feel like that's always the pattern on these new ones. Tarsal coalitions may be classified as one of two types: calcaneonavicular coalition between the heel bone and the navicular, or talocalcaneal or subtalar coalition develops between the calcaneus and the talus, the ankle bone. Could be composed exclusively of bone, a combination of bone and cartilage, or even fibrous tissue. Tarsal coalitions occur in both feet in about half of all cases. Like, this is what I don't get. Okay, so you have this extra bone or extra cartilage, and the treatment is to rest your foot. But the cartilage does not go away if you rest your foot. So how is that any good? It's just like I have a bone in the back of my foot, like rest your foot. That bone isn't going anywhere. So how is this a treatment? Although pain relief can be achieved in this way, in many cases the result's only temporary. Well, yeah, because the bone is still there. Non-operative treatment can be appropriate for patients with tarsal coalitions that are symptom-free. Well, why would you treat something if there's no symptoms? Besides certain viruses they claimed in 2020, but we won't discuss that. And whose condition only become apparent on x-ray. Non-operative treatment. It's no treatment then. They're saying no treatment, not non-operative treatment. Only becomes apparent on x-ray taken incidentally or on another condition, such as acute ankle pain. You can perform a resection or removal of the coalition tissue. In most cases, another type of tissue, usually fat, is placed between the bones to prevent the coalition from growing back. Clubfoot, accessory navicular. Extra bone growth center on the... Okay, anyways, you get the idea. Bunch of weird stuff. I was trying to figure out, like, what are the new ones that are coming in. And frankly, it was kind of vague. It just says abnormal bone connections. As far as I can tell, that tarsal coalition is one that they're for sure saying is on the rise. But I couldn't find any others. It's very interesting that it wasn't named at all or explained at all, and you can't find it anywhere else. So I feel like we might be getting a lot of these, and so the Mandela is keeping it kind of vague right now. Okay, what is the excuses for this so-called excuse? Advances in medicine. Modern medicine has reduced mortality, allowing individuals with traits that might have previously been considered evolutionary disadvantages to survive. Yeah, but that's only been around like a couple generations. I just can't see suddenly there's a bunch of weird little bones everywhere. Lifestyle, a shift from hunter-gatherer lifestyle. Altered our diets and physical activity levels. I feel like, you know, they say that a lot of these sesamoid bones are from stress and strain on the muscle and excessive use, but here they're blaming it on being a flat, fat, lazy slob and not doing anything. So those two kind of don't mesh either. Environmental factors. Reduction of selective pressures. Isn't that the same thing as advanced in medicine, sort of? Allows proliferation of diverse genetic traits, some of which may become more advantageous over time. I don't see how any of these are more advantageous. This kind of conflicts because, first of all, they're saying there's no selective pressure, but then they're saying these changes will be selected for due to selective pressure, which that's dueling banjos, they're opposites. If there's not much selective pressure, then that shouldn't be for these genetic traits either. And again, it hasn't been enough time for them to like expand to huge percentages. Maybe, oh, there's a 2% rise in the last 50 years. Okay, but not, you know, large amounts. Smaller faces and jaws. Okay, that's what it's saying. It's leading towards smaller faces and jaws, which is laughable because I know the storyline is jaws are shrinking, but like this is not smaller, and I feel like the face is getting longer, not smaller. Now narrower, yeah, but now granted, I do see some faces with weird little tiny mouth areas, and so like it is kind of creepy because it is like we're turning into little gray aliens. Big eyes on the side, little gray mouth areas. That is one of the changes I sort of noticed today when I was looking, is I do feel kind of like the mouth, I don't know, there's just something about the mouth area here. It just looks a little too small. It's subtle, but it's a little off. Smaller jaws may continue to exacerbate dental issues. I think this is an excuse for teeth to go away, basically. The extra artery in the arm may improve surgical outcomes or enhance physical performance. Yeah, I just don't see that making a difference in breeding enough to select for it. Variations in skeletal structure might better suit modern lifestyles. Again, here they're arguing there's not much selective pressure. Then they're saying selective pressure, you can't have it both ways, I guess, but they can, because nobody even thinks anymore. They just nod their head. And I looked at a couple other websites, and this one kind of summed it up better than a lot of them, but they're all saying basically the same thing. So there's the size of that bag, of that jettison bag. I probably should have had this on here earlier, but that's a 8-year-old child, apparently. Demoing one of the bags. So it's not a tiny bag. It's not like a tiny grocery store bag. Be like, throw out your grocery store bag. Yeah, I feel like the face is getting longer. We do see a lot of opposite land around here. Like they'll say this is what's happening. Oh, we're running out of water, and they're, you know, like that, and the weather's getting worse. And although I hear about worse weather way out there in places that I don't really visit, overall it seems like I've got more rain. Like they said, there's less rain in California. I swear there's way more rain than I remember before. And there's rivers are showing up. Like I got a river. And I don't know if I covered this, but there was a new river over by the horse rescue when I used to go there. They actually closed, so I'm not going there anymore. But I did notice in the last few months that there was suddenly a river there that had never been there. Like it used to be that the hill just kind of ended and the road started, but then there was like a deep chasm and then up and then flowing water in there and stuff. And that wasn't even after a huge rainstorm. So, yeah. There's a couple of things that change pea color now, too. There was a couple of things that make it green. And then, what's that one? It was it was that blue dye stuff. Oh, I forgot the name. Not methylate, but it's sort of like that word. And it is a really, really strong dye of blue, but it also is like a anti-inflammatory, good for the mitochondria type of deal. And it is something that RFK, I kind of feel like the universe was shopping around, because there's this interesting image of RFK dropping blue drops into his water, and it looks all mysterious and weird, like he's a weird alchemist. And it's that blue dye stuff that I have taken that a little bit. I don't know, some of those things are just too strong for me. Like, put 6 drops in and suck it back, and I'll be like, 1 drop makes me feel strange. So although I can do them, I can only do 10% of the stuff. Like, I respond strangely to a lot of those, so. But anyway, apparently if you suck down a lot of that, it'll make your pee blue also. Okay, so I think I covered this before, but I'm not 100%. Did I cover Venus is hotter than Mercury, despite being further from the sun? Because I swear it was always the ones closest to the sun were the hottest, and then they got less hot as they went out. But now, no, Mercury is actually less hot than Venus. And the weird thing is that you can land on Venus, and they did now, because it's not like swirling. It didn't used to have a good crust to sit on, but now it does. It used to be that they couldn't land on it because it would just, anything you put in there would just get chewed up, but now they did. But despite that, somehow Mercury still manages to be less hot than Venus, and the story is that Mercury has an atmosphere, so there's like a greenhouse thing, and yeah. So I don't even remember Mercury having like a normal atmosphere. It was like, or Venus. It was like Mercury is a swirling bunch of crap, if you want to call that an atmosphere. But This is primarily due to Venus's thick atmosphere, which is rich in carbon dioxide and creates a greenhouse effect, trapping heat and raising the planet's temperature. The average temperature is 462 degrees C. I don't know how much that is in F. Mercury's temperature ranges widely from minus 100 C to 430 C. Is that right? Minus 100 C? Wait. Celsius. You know, it just goes to show that if you don't use something regularly, you just don't understand it. Okay. I don't know how many times I've checked this, but I still don't know what Celsius is like. All right. So, minus 180 degrees C. Wait, I don't want it to. I want it to Fahrenheit. What am I thinking? Fahrenheit. I don't know what a Kelvin is. How do you spell Fahrenheit again? There. Not the equation. I want... That's not how you spell Fahrenheit, is it? Oh, there's a H. Okay. Minus 180. We'll get there eventually. All right, so it's... So what? Mercury is super, super cold? Wait a minute. So it can go from minus 180? That can't be right. To 430? Mercury has minus... All right, now, I'm sure 430 is hot, but how does it become... So it's like minus 200 degrees to 800 degrees Fahrenheit? Like, my brain just froze right there, because how can it be that cold on freaking Mercury? That can't be right. Can it? I'm just looking at it, and my brain is finally like, nighttime temperature minus 180. Okay. Okay. Does it even have, like, land? Because Mercury used to be this ball of gases, as did Venus, I might add. So... if it's a ball of gases, then the gases would swirl around. Then it didn't like suddenly get super cold on the other side because the heat would spread around quite a bit. Does Mercury have land? All right, if it has... All right, does it have tectonics? There's a question. Does it have craters? Let's ask that. Mercury is covered with craters. That's Mercury? No, that's not Mercury. That's like the moon. Oh my god, so nothing is balls of gases anymore? Which planet is a ball of gas? Planet is like a ball of gas. Is there any of them? Jupiter and Saturn, that's it. Are like balls of gas that orbit a star. No solid surfaces. Ah, that's weird. Oh, okay. So, surface of Mercury. I just remember Mercury as being gaseous, but it wasn't a gas giant because it was small-ish. Comparatively. All right, so that's Mercury now. Man, it just looks like a big moon. Holy crap, I just would have thought that was the moon. No way! That's crazy. Okay, so that's Mercury now. A surface. There's a good question. Do the gas giants have a surface? Do not have a solid surface. They have a thick atmosphere made of hydrogen and helium. that gets denser. Yeah, that's how Mercury was. Oh, that's crazy. Okay. So Mercury looks like the moon. That would be convenient if they're faking it. They can use the same algorithms as they use when they're faking the moon. If, which I don't know if they are, but... Okay. I want to be an elf. If you can't beat them, join them. I don't think we look like elves, though, because we're getting big, like, knob heads. And I don't remember elves having their eyes out to the side. It kind of looks, I don't know, when I look at the eyes, it looks like you have a deformed head to me. I don't know. That's why it's bugging me, because I'm looking there going, what's wrong with my head? It looks slightly deformed. Yeah, angels don't fall. I was like that. I never got hangovers. I would feel maybe a little tired sometimes in the morning, but frankly, my stomach neurons at some point when I drank a lot, my stomach neurons are like, you're going to barf now. Like in the next 15 minutes, you're going to barf. So I would just barf and then I'd be fine. It wouldn't let me go too far. So I credit that in part. And even that was rare though, because usually I would just stop drinking, but. One time I got so drunk that I could not, like, it was getting too hard to talk. I remember I'm like, I'm just going to be real quiet because the thought of putting together a sentence seemed extremely difficult. I still did not get a hangover. I would say I felt a little tired, but I didn't get like a headache or sick feeling. I haven't really done that in a while. I mean, like, I just don't see a point to it. So it's been a long time. And frankly, I didn't like it. Like, I didn't like being that dumb. I'm like, oh, great. I'm so dumb. I can't talk. This or that animal's going extinct, but then new ones get discovered. The thing is, those animals they say are going extinct, they never go extinct. They never actually go extinct. Now, sometimes you hear about some animal you never heard of to start with, and they claim it went extinct. But all the ones they said, oh, this bald eagle and this California condor and the pythons and the snow leopards are all going extinct. And then a year later, there's twice as many. And the next thing you know, they're like, falling out of the trees like the pythons. Alligators are going extinct. Nope. And polar bears. Nope. Let's see. I said bald eagles already. There's tons of them now. 123. Okay, I've got 40 minutes left. There is some way to stick your tongue into the holes in the top of your palate and stimulate your pineal glands. Smoking DMT is ways. Holes in the top of your palate. Okay. There is like a muscle that kind of can, the upper palate can move a little, and then it opens up that eustachian tube back to your ear. That's the only thing I know of. Somehow you could train yourself to open that and then curl your tongue in there, but it's like the pineal is not that close, is it? I'll have to check that out. That sounds pretty bizarre. I'm actually pretty good at popping open that the eustachian tube path, which apparently is an unusual skill. Not super unusual, but a little bit unusual. Mediterranean is still closed. I'm not surprised. Mediterranean is still closing, was what you're saying. Sometimes I have fluid eject from my mouth like a snake. So there's like these little glands there that squirt out the fluids in your mouth. And sometimes they'll just activate. And if your mouth is open, it'll just squirt it out. And that became a thing maybe, I've heard of it about 10 years ago. There's a word for that when that happens too. Like, they're not really supposed to activate when you're talking. They're supposed to activate when you start eating. Maybe you were thinking of food or something just goes awry and that happens. So you can actually squirt saliva on people if they're like really close. Yeah, you're right. It is kind of weird. And I don't ever remember doing it as a child or hearing of it. So, okay, so voodoo doll apparently is a common misperception. The voodoo never did voodoo dolls. So they never, apparently the voodoo religion does not have dolls that you poke pins in. I totally remember watching documentaries on it and all that, and I don't know. I mean, maybe I was just wrong, but it is suspicious that they're now claiming that it was just movies that invented it, and that voodoo was never a thing in the voodoo culture. And it was just like stupid movies and stupid Western popular culture. Okay, so I read that, and then literally hours later in another part of the internet, it talks about voodoo dolls in ancient Rome. And I don't remember there being any voodoo doll use in ancient Rome. But then they said, oh, and, we just found this doll with pins in it, like it's a voodoo doll. So I think maybe it's moving over to Rome now. That's going to have the voodoo dolls. They're not voodoo. They're Rome dolls now, I guess. So something seems very fishy about that now. Actually, I should write that. Well, I'll remember later. Okay, so there's that. We did Pohon Hotel. We did this. We went through it pretty fast today. My opinion is that artificial DMT is the apple in the Garden of Eden. Fallen Anunnaki fell when they became addicted to the spice in Dune. I don't know. That whole story is bizarre because, like, they eat the apple and then they know, like, they get wisdom. And then wisdom is, like, bad. Like, I could see if you ate the apple and you became, like, a big jerk or something. Or you were mean or hateful. But no, they got wisdom. So, what, you're supposed to just stay stupid? Like, the whole story is bizarre. And the other thing is DMT is, for most people, is not that addictive because it's sort of like climbing Mount Everest. I mean, you do it once and, like, then you want a rest before you do it again for most people. And also DMT is kind of famous in that it will kick you out of its garden if you abuse it. A lot of people are actually like overdo DMT. And hold on, the cat wants in. I'll be right back. Yes, kitty. So basically, the two regular cats in here have figured out how to scrape on the door and get me to open it because it's winter and I've just been closing the door a lot. They used to just be open all the time in the summer. So this little girl just came in. She's a good girl. Are you a good girl, huh? She likes the scratches here. All right, here you go. She's going to ask to go down, and she might ask to come back up 5 seconds later. She does get a little freaked out when I do these shows. She's like, what are you talking to? There's nobody there, idiot. Decalcify your pineal gland, and the DMT will flow more naturally. I don't know. The whole DMT thing has really changed because when I first heard of DMT and I looked into it, and they said that it is not in your body, like there is no DMT. And then the story was that it might be endogenous to the body, like, and then the story was like months later that yes, it's well known to be endogenous to your body, and it comes from the pineal gland, and they had known that years before. So basically I shifted into this reality, and the pineal gland has shifted locations and become way more of a thing, and now it produces DMT, and almost all of that is a Mandela. So then they say decalcify your pineal gland. Well, you know, what was my pineal gland doing 15 years ago? I don't know. I'm not even sure if I had one back then. I hadn't even heard of it back then. What happened to robins? Here in Wisconsin, it was the Maine bird. I never see them. You know, one thing I do notice is that stuff will disappear for like 2-3 years. Then it'll come back finally, and then it'll look quite different. And I do kind of wonder if maybe it's easier for it to change. For those really familiar things that oh, it's been a while since I saw them, I must have forgot. It's just easier to like not notice. That gleeking, that's it. Gleeking is when that gland squirts saliva out of your mouth. It's gleeking. That's the word. So anyway, you're not like a lizard person. That's normal for the current humanity. If you have DMT, you're supposed to be able to see the coding of the matrix. Okay, so supposedly everybody has DMT. They now say that it is natural in your body and that it is actually a neurotransmitter. So you have it. Everybody has it. It's just going to be a matter of like how much. Or you can consume more. And from my experience, although it is not exactly like the Matrix, there is definitely a parallel in experience to that. I wouldn't say the code looks the same. It's more like kind of Mandela would be closer to the concept of the Matrix code, but you see some stuff overlaying the reality, and that stuff seems more real than this reality. And it does really it does have a lot of that Matrix feel to it. Like now you're seeing the real world. Fluoride, mercury calcify your pineal gland. You know, to me, it's all narrative now. So sure, don't consume a bunch of crappy chemicals. That sounds like a plan, but yeah, see, I didn't even hear of it till 2014 either. That's about right. So that's one of the reasons. And then it was way back there, and it didn't do much, and then all of a sudden it's up here, and it's like super important, and so that's why it's hard for me to take it seriously with like, oh, it's calcified and blah blah. I'm like, wasn't even there before, so whatever. I think it might be just a narrative. We're evolving, our brains are evolving, and yet we're not ready to fully accept that reality is an illusion. So we need a narrative to go with the evolution. So the narrative is all this time your pineal gland was calcified, but now we're decalcifying it, and now you can see that which you could not see before. But I think more like we're probably just evolving, and that's why things are getting cray. Anyway, my opinion. It's just hard to think that something is causative when it didn't even exist until not that long ago. It's the same thing with the CERN thing. I'm like, CERN didn't even exist in the 70s for me, so how could it be causing Mandela effects in the 70s? Colgate toothpaste really does get in. I don't know. I mean, like, if physical flesh is just like a reflection of the spiritual, then I would expect there to be physical signs of whatever spirituality is happening on the other side. So maybe there is some kind of a calcification or lack of evolution, and then that's going to show in the body, and then the body's going to change, and then they're going to say that the question is, what is causal? Is the calcification in the view of the pineal the actual cause of your mental issues, or is your mental issues actually a cause of the calcification and the reality that we live in, that there's chemicals? I think that's kind of where I'm trying to get to. It does seem like that the way to get out of things is actually to improve your mental functioning, your outlook, your spirituality, those things. And if you work hard here, then that shows up in reality. On the flip side, I've known people who've toiled away, hammering at reality, apparent causal relations, as the general society seems to assume, works, and they'll hammer away at it, and they'll just never get anywhere, decade after decade after decade, because they won't change their mental attitude. It does seem like that to me. Like there's been things where I've been trying to do it for 10 years, and I just, like, there was just this brick wall. I could not get it done. There was always something that would happen at the last second, and it just wouldn't work. And then when I changed my mental outlook and didn't clutch it so hard and chilled out, and then suddenly the thing just, boom, it happens by itself. I wasn't even trying. Like that thing I tried for 10 years, I gave up on, and then boom, it happens. And it just, out of the blue, has nothing to do with any of my efforts before. That's kind of how I see it. And I've kind of felt like if there's a mental block or a physical block where I can't get something done, there's either it's not right for me, I'm not thinking about it the right way, or something that I have to sort in here before I can make that thing work. Others say they see elves running this joint. So yeah, that's the machine elves. I don't know if I call them. It's kind of a nickname, the machine elves in the DMT land. They're not like the elves of Lord of the Rings. It's like a whole different thing. Just so you know. You can claim any mine that's unclaimed anywhere in the USA. Yes, you can. That is true. In fact, there's been claim jumpers. So say I have a mine, and I didn't, in my, every year, like, let's just say it's January 1 for convenience sake. And January 1 is the last day, like the 31st is the last day of my claim. By January 1, I have to trot back down there and like renew my ownership every year. And there have been many a case where the mine owner forgot to renew it, and somebody they knew, like often a mine worker, was just waiting, and very patiently not mentioning that the deadline was coming up, and then ran down there on January 1 and filed for the mine and claimed it. And then basically stole it, because it's kind of evil, you know. They know the mine is lucrative because they're working for the guy, and then they just wait. So that has happened where usually it's some scuzzy person too, frankly. It's some person that you now hate now owns the mine. Okay, so yes. But the thing is that you own the mine, but you do not own the land. You only have mineral rights. So in rare cases, with certain hoops and in certain situations, you can actually make a long-term claim if you work the mine long enough and to the point where you actually own all the land, but usually you don't. So if somebody has a mine, they can't block access. They can put up a structure just to store like mining equipment, but like I could walk over their land. I can't touch any of their minerals, only the claimed minerals. So like if they claim tourmaline, I cannot pick up any tourmaline on that property. But I can walk over it, and I can bird watch and whatever. I can even camp on it within reason, because they don't own the land. It's not the same as if you buy land and pay taxes on it. You do have to show, I think, $200 worth of improvements a year. Almost nobody checks on that, but basically fill some holes in the road or something, and that's good. So in the old days, you know, there was a lot of land, and you could just basically stake a claim and it was your land, but that is no longer the case. I see the matrix is usually a swirling mass of yellow, blah, blah. Yeah, you know, I definitely can see stuff at night, and I guess it's the matrix. It does kind of look like some of the stuff from DMT land, so maybe it is. And it's interesting and it's pretty, but I guess I'm a really practical person, and I'm sort of like, well, it's pretty and it's entertaining, but it doesn't do anything special. It has not, like, given me the answer to the universe or anything. So maybe it's more like a side effect of spirituality than anything else. Some people say for them during a trip everything is tilted to the left. I can't say I've had many hardcore DMT experiences because I haven't gone the whole way on DMT. Like, there's this breakthrough. I have not gone to breakthrough. But the experience I've had weren't tilted to the left. I don't know. I've heard some weird stuff about drug trips lately. Like, somebody was just saying that people who do Molly, like ecstasy, which is MDMA, often see sunglasses on people. Like, that's their hallucination, that people are wearing sunglasses. And apparently it's quite common across all the different users, even if they never heard of the phenomena, will still see it. And that is, like, so bizarre to me. It is so, and then if it's not sunglasses, sometimes it's hats. And I certainly have never experienced any of that on any of the other psychedelics. And it's not every last person, but still, that the commonality is bizarre. And I only just heard of that like yesterday. Yeah, dreams in color. I think they used to say dreams are not in color. I think now they said it's either or, but that used to be the narrative, that they were not in color, which was wrong for me. But we've switched over the timeline where it's now not unusual to see color. Whatever the truth is, that is the narrative. See, now, if you kind of do the DMT psychedelic trick, then it kind of says that the truth is whatever you want it to be, and you pick your narrative. So it's reverse, and it's twist the brain. So, like, it's all a big game, and you write the rules, basically. But how do you write the rules? It's with your attention. So it's not that your thing was wrong, because if your attention is on hate and blah, 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 then what do you create in your reality? Hate and all that. If your attention is on love and caring and good stuff, then what do you create in your reality? A bunch of that. If your attention is on I'm a victim, poor me, nothing's ever goes right, blah, blah, then what do you get in your reality? That. So the trick then is to understand what you're doing and how you're coding, and then improve your coding skills. That's basically what the psychedelics say. So it's like terrifying and exciting because you're in total control. But then everything that goes wrong, you're totally to blame. So it's a double-edged sword, you know. Let's see. Had an Australian flip-flop. Office Works changed to Office Space Works and is now back to Office No Space Works. I don't even know what that is, Office Works, so. Yeah, it feels real. But what is real? You know, I mean, like, maybe real is the invention. So maybe, like, this whole thing with the sensation, all that is just this game. Not that it can't be very unpleasant, because it can, but. Ah, the DMT thing. That was talking about what you extract. Yeah. I know there's, like, ways to do it. There's, like, the subreddit talks about how to do it. So I'm like a person that just needs very small amounts of stuff to actually have an effect. So it's really not worth it for me to even make stuff, because I'm like, I just need like that much. That's all I need. Yeah, that's a good point about the trip sitting. I kind of trust myself a lot, and I just do it on my own. I actually prefer to do stuff on my own, and then once I know that I can handle it, then I would do it with other people. Like, I pretty much know I can handle the shrooms without like flipping out, so I'm familiar with my functionality now on like certain doses and stuff. I've also gotten much better at my functionality on certain doses. Yeah, so I didn't know where to get it from either, but I went to some like meetup groups, like just like clubs that are into psychedelics, and you'd think there's a bunch of cokeheads or something there, but no, a lot of those people are just really interesting people who are interested in the nature of reality, and we have really good conversations. So I was kind of worried that I wouldn't fit in, but actually, no, I have a good time on there. But after I went there for a while, then they started trusting me, and then I was able to get sources. Yeah, it's somewhat illegal. It's illegal here, but they don't really enforce it that much because it's not like a big problem. Psychedelics, that is. Unless you're like selling a ton, like if you're a seller and you have a lot and you're making the big bucks, they may come after you if you're selling a lot. If you're a big fish, basically. What? Women have PMT? I've not heard of that. Men have DMT and women have PMT. I've literally never heard of that. That is... All right, I'm looking that up. Have DMT and women have PMT? Men have DMT. Seem to be a mix of two different... DMT is a psychedelic. Blah, blah, blah. I don't think they meant premenstrual... I don't know what this PMT thing is. I don't think you're talking about premenstrual tension, so... Yeah, I don't find in this PMT thing, not the kind you're talking about. Are you making a joke? Is that it? I totally missed it? Okay, apologies. I took it too literally. Ah, yes, it was a joke. You can't tell with Mandela anymore because any kind of ridiculous thing can happen at any minute. So that's why I'm like, aliens have landed, and they said that they were Mother Teresa, and I'd be like, okay, did that really happen, or is it a Mandela? Like in the old days, it'd be like, liar. Yeah, I've done DMT. Theoretically. I know, sunglasses. What a weird thing to hallucinate. And apparently it's only on MDMA. Now, I don't know about if MDA does it, because MDA is really close to MDMA, but it is a known thing. Sunglasses, and then less common, but still pretty common, is hats. Hats. Strange. And they're like dark. Yeah, they're dark sunglasses. So, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of like, so what, are you seeing like gray aliens or something because big old black eyes? I don't know. That's just, I've literally never heard of that until like, was it today or yesterday? I was like, what? Oh yeah, DMT is actually pretty safe, and shrooms. Like the body, I have not heard of anybody ever dying from mushrooms. Actually, not like from a body reaction. Now, there's probably been cases where someone freaked out and ran and fell off like a cliff or something. if you don't take a lot at first, then that shouldn't happen. Like, people want to be macho or something, and they're like, I'm just going to take a huge dose, and then they freak out. So the trick there is to just take a little bit and slowly ramp it up until you know where your limits are. So I've never heard of both DMT and DMT. Usually you're just wonked out, and it only lasts like 10 minutes or something. So for those two, for drugs, they're fairly, I mean, about as physically safe as you could get. I mean, aspirin is way more dangerous. So, like, why would I need help on DMT or shrooms? It would just be psychologically, like, say I flipped out and I needed somebody to, like, talk me down, or so it's always kind of scary when there's newbies to taking a psychedelic, because you don't know how they're going to react. And, like, for instance, I know somebody who, I vaguely know him, but he was doing it for the first time, and he's this big buff guy, and everybody was extra worried that there'd be something weird with him, because, say, what if he freaked out and thought the aliens were going to steal his brain and ran out the house? Like, you can't tackle that guy or anything. Like, if I did that, then a couple of people could just grab me and like hold me down and prevent me from doing something stupid. Now, I've never done anything like that, but just say they would probably feel reasonably confident that they could control me to some extent, but not that dude. So I think everybody was like, oh, I hope that guy's okay. Luckily he was fine. And usually once people have their limits sorted out, you don't have to worry about them as much. They kind of know what they're doing. So that's the usual reason to do trip sitters, is you're doing new stuff, you're doing amounts that you don't know, you're doing extreme amounts, or you're just totally new to it. Thought the Pope was a pedo, or is that the Pope prior to this one? I don't think there was any evidence that either one of them was a pedo, but the one before this, I believe, was the one who covered up a bunch of pedo stuff. Like, he would just, like, move priests to another location after accusations, instead of, like, throwing them out of the church and stuff. I mean, who knows what any of them do behind closed doors, but I don't know of any specific evidence. I don't know. I think I've been I'm not hardcore. It's just like once every few months or once every 6 months, but. So I kind of went into it because somebody said you could talk to aliens on DMT, and I wanted to try it. But actually, it's pretty therapeutic, and that's the main reason I do it now. Although I do like talking to aliens, or whatever those things are. I don't know what they are. Yeah, that was the old guy, the old Pope. Wait, is the current Pope, isn't he like near death or something? They were saying he had a nasty pneumonia and he was barely conscious, and it sounded like he was any minute now he's gonna die. So I was kind of curious. Earlier today I was wondering about that. I don't know if he's still alive. I know there's some old predictions that this would be the last Pope. So I'm kind of curious to see how that rolls out. I mean, I'm not going to say I think every Pope is a pedophile. Like, maybe, I don't know, but I don't think there's a lot of evidence for it, so. The only other thing I'd say about shrooms, though, is each trip is different. So, I mean, some trips are pretty darn pleasant, and other ones are kind of, I call it the finger wagging trips. Like, and where you're like chastised for your bad behavior. And I mean, it is constructive chastising. Were acting bad, but and for me at least, it's me who sets the goals. Like, I want to be less like this, like I want to be a nicer person. I want to be less selfish. Okay, there's for instance, a goal. I would like to be less depressed, more happy, various goals, right? So I did set the goals, so I can't complain. I guess I could, but it's not useful to complain when I set the goals and then I need to do things to move in that direction. And what the psychedelics do is they show you how the things you're doing that do not bring you in the direction you want to go. But I set the direction to start with. So when I get finger wagged, it's because I said to help me go this way. And so if I don't, follow the path that is required to go that way, then I get finger wagged. But I don't know if I would get finger wagged if that had not been my initial path that I set. Like, I do wonder if you're like, say you're evil or something, and then you take shrooms. I don't know how that would work, like, would it just help you would it still just help you in your goals, even if they were evil goals? I don't know. Like, there's definitely a lot of people who say it just amplifies your deeper self and helps you be more authentic. But if you are actually authentically evil, then maybe that's not good. Or is it like just a power for good more? I don't know. I mean, the only way to know is if I really knew evil people and talked to them about their shroom experiences, which that I have not experienced. Yeah, I'd be careful about what you say because you live in Europe. I know Germany and some of those EU states have gotten really weird lately. Like Germany arrested somebody for calling one of his politicians an imbecile. I mean, like, man, there's not enough room in prison for everybody in the United States who called some politician an imbecile. So basically, apparently he tweeted somewhere, like if I said, Fauci is an imbecile, okay, then apparently, though, I don't know the character in question that was accused of being an imbecile, but they apparently complained to the government, and then the government came and they literally arrested this guy for his tweet. And as far as I can tell, that's all he did, is called this guy an imbecile. I mean, he wasn't threatening him or anything. It's like, that guy's an idiot, And they came and stormed his house, arrested him, and confiscated his electronics, like his laptop and stuff. And I guess to prove that he made the tweet, but really, you stormed his house? Like, that's insanity. It's utterly insanity. And I guess he's not the only one that's had this kind of thing happen. So, and the UK, stuff like that's happening in the UK too. Yeah, Britain, they send people living around. Yeah, there's some weird stuff in UK too. Like, apparently, if you live too near an abortion clinic, you cannot pray about the abortions in your home, is the rule. That cat. Now she wants to go out again. I think she's upset about me yapping. I'll be right back. Cat, you both want to go out now? Oh, there's another cat outside. Wait, hold on. Which one is it? Oh, it's Crab Cat. Are you going out or not? Make up your mind, cat. Do you want to go out or not? I'm shutting it. You have to decide. All right, there you go. Out you go. One of their cat friends was at the door, so they wanted to go out. But then you know how cats are. You open the door and they're like, well, I don't know. Maybe I changed my mind. Which stories are true at all? I'm skeptical. Which stories? Let's see. What stories are we talking about? Oh, the thing is, so that story in Germany where they arrested somebody for calling somebody an imbecile. I know it sounds ridiculous, but they actually had like some of the top administrators, like famous politician people, I don't know, like people in charge of security and the law and stuff in Germany were defending the action. So it's probably true because they're not denying it. It would be like if you accuse somebody of the government of doing something, and then Trump got up there and said, well, yes, we're doing that now, then it's probably true. So what they said, these German authorities basically went on camera and said, well, we believe in freedom of speech, but it has its limits, and the limits are when you spread hateful content. So hateful content is pretty vague now, and I guess includes saying somebody's an imbecile. And the same with the UK ones. I mean, the officials have verified that they're going to be doing that. They have not refuted any of it. Instead, they've doubled down. Yeah, so here, we have freedom of speech in the Constitution, so it's a little harder for them to just decide that they're going to make new rules. But who knows? I don't. Things are getting crazy over here. I guess Trump's going to has yanked the California legislature and agencies from the right to have separate rules for like emissions, pollution emissions, and gas and stuff like that. So we have these crazy costs, and like half the car repair costs are just to try to get past the smog test, because they're so like tricky, the mechanisms, that they're always breaking, and then you have to have smog tests, like sometimes is up to once a year, and then you have to pay for that, and then if you don't pass, then you don't know why exactly you didn't pass, so you just have to keep trying to repair this and that and this and that and then you go back and you still didn't pass. I've had this game where I went 3-4 times, still didn't pass. Each time you go, you got to pay. I'm trying to repair it, but I don't know what's wrong. Because the vehicle runs just fine. It's just that the emissions are like this much off or something. CARB, yes. So it looks like Trump's gonna the original rule when California got permission to do that was that they would be reasonable according to technology. And so the argument, which I think is legitimate in this particular case, is that they haven't been. So they'll still be, all the federal rules will still apply, but they won't have their special rules. So I have to say I'm kind of excited, because the amount of money that we all spend, like for a catalytic converter that costs thousands and thousands of dollars, and hundreds sometimes or more a year, and constant problems with the systems. And also their systems really choke down engine performance, and they're really hard on the engines. And then the gas mixes here are like loaded with ethanol, and ethanol really clogs up engines. It's like garbage for engines. So like basically you get, over time, you just get like this muck, this hard, not even muck, it's like this hard film that builds up on all your internal car parts. Though it's really garbage. And yet we have to pay way more for our garbage gas. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm not going to miss them. Yeah, I live in California, so I'm quite familiar with the torture. And it just keeps ramping up and ramping up, it was kind of not too bad at first, but now they're crazy. Like we couldn't even put desalination plants in, because then they're like, no, that's too bad for the fish near the plant. But then everything, it's like, you can't do anything, Their solution to everything is just charge a lot and tax the hell out of it. I'm a mechanic. Besides being a licensed contractor, even with my discount and my own labor, it cost me a grip last year. Yes, it can be. I mean, I think last time it was, I checked so many things. We swapped out so many things, and it turned out to be the fuel injectors weren't injecting the fuel just right. And we swapped those out, and I finally passed. But it was just crazy, all the things we had to try. All is the emissions aren't quite right. But It doesn't show up in, like, it doesn't tell you why. It just says over here, the sensor says the emissions aren't quite right. And there's like hundreds of reasons why it might not be right. Oh, yeah. And they also, that they were going to add 65 cents more per gallon starting in a few months, I think. And that got blocked. So there's not going to be a giant gas hike. Also, the price should come down if we use the standard mix without the ethanol, because we can also swap gas from other states and stuff too. So yeah, it's just gotten crazy. I mean, I'm all for some environmental stuff, but it just got out of control. Yeah, Angels Don't Fall probably knows more about it than I do. I mean, like, I have a friend that does a lot of mechanic work, although he's not technically a mechanic, but he's really good at the concepts and stuff. And so just trying to find a gas station that puts a little less ethanol, and it can make a difference in the vehicle. So I will not miss all that ethanol. And, then they have to grow all that crop, and it just goes into the gas can, and then food prices are up. And, I'd rather that they just use all that corn for like food. Oh, so I'm okay now. So that car that I had all the problems with, eventually it had a bigger problem, which was, what was it? That moisture was getting into the cylinders, and we just couldn't figure out where it was. And it was like 200,000+ miles on it. So I just gave that car to a mechanic, actually, and I got my current one. And my current one is been good for me. It's not real old. It's like 2015. So I'm all right for now. There's like one weird issue with the ventilation in the windows that we haven't quite sorted out, but that's just with the AC and the heater. It's not with the actual driving of the vehicle. Yeah, see, I don't know what it means, the drive cycles to clear the DTCs. I'm assuming that's the scum, but I might check on that later. I'm kind of curious. Anyway, I know mechanics everywhere are like, oh, the only people I feel sorry for are like the smog stations, because I know a very nice group of people that run a smog station, and one of them's about ready to retire, though, so maybe it is better that she can retire. And the other one knows a lot of mechanic stuff, so I'm sure she could get a job in a regular mechanic or... Oh, okay, yeah, we have a code reader, actually, so my friend kind of checks on all that stuff. And then that car was lifted, so there's some weird that's a truck, actually. There's some weird stuff with how they lifted that we're trying to sort out. Like, they didn't quite do it exactly perfectly. So some of it's getting kind of worn, and we need to replace a couple little joints and stuff. And we made a few alterations on how the lift was done. So again, that's not really going to show in the reader, because it's just squeaky parts underneath. And yeah, you need a car in the U.S. We weren't made for, and plus I have my own business, so I need to drive over here. I guess I could get a hotel or like a tiny apartment around here, but apartments are so expensive. So expensive. That was interesting. We tried to, Callie tried to put in like what was that train system? It was BART or something. They took like billions and billions and billions of dollars, and there was a bond for it, and that was what, 10 or 15 years ago? They haven't even built any of it yet. It's been like 15 years. So I think this place is too crooked to even follow through with its own plans, because they got so much money. I mean, where did all that money go? Everybody's like, it went to nowhere, because just all the bond money was all collected, and there's nothing. We have nothing. It wasn't BART. It was, what is that freaking, it was the train system. Yeah, or whatever. There was something they were going to put in to connect like LA and San Francisco, and we got nothing. We have absolutely nothing. So we're too lame to if we put on all that money and we at least got some of the stuff we paid for, I mean, where did it go? I would love to get a Doge audit here just to know where stuff's going, because Like, not all that stuff is a bad idea, but then you throw them all this money on it and you get crap. So I did the air conditioner filter and then it works for like a week and then it starts happening again. Yeah, we've definitely done that a bunch of times. Brand new ones. Yeah, the air, it acts like that filter is clogged, but it's not clogged. And we tried to go through the lines and it seems like they're open. So I don't know. Anyway, I gotta run. It's late. Thanks everybody for coming. I think I got everything on here. Oh, there's a few more, but I'll do them next time. They're real tiny ones. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate everything. Thanks for coming. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.